about the internet of value at Ripple, we're thinking much bigger than just cross-border payments. It's kind of like Amazon with rare books in the early days, just this market happens to be a $10 trillion market.
We are at a historic turning point.
Said in the past that you are doing for money what email did for communication.
Moving the whole revolution forward. There's trillions of dollars parked around the world. XRP.
Is there a possibility that Ripple could take over Swift one day?
Well,
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode 24 Hours Script. Let's get right into today's video. Where do we even begin? Tunes takes aim at a 60 trillion market opportunity in payments, which we're going to get into in a second. We're also going to cover today Raoul Pal. He thinks that Bitcoin was created within the NSA, and here's a sneak peek before we get into the full video.
I think the US government and the UK government invented it.
And also his take on why the SEC is currently going after all the exchanges. Here's another quick little pointer. Take a listen.
Because if all the deposits leave the banking system, it's game over. If they don't set up a way of collecting taxes because everybody's living in crypto land and they have to ask your honesty in what trades you've done, that's not going to work for them because they can't pay the bills.
It makes absolute perfect sense that all the deposits are going to leave the banking system and it would be game over. That's why they're limiting USD deposits and withdrawals right now from Binance US. They're trying to get control over this. And it's not a coincidence. It makes perfect sense why they would create something like a Bitcoin back after the financial crisis in 2008. It's just another mechanism for laundering money, and nobody knew about it, but it took off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode. At the end of the day, you guys are all a bunch of
hucksters, fraudsters, scam artists, Ponzi schemes.
So, I mean, what's there to say? Now they're trying to blame the Russians. Russian national charged with hacking one cryptocurrency exchange. And this is in regards to Mt. Gox, and they're saying they took about 647,000 Bitcoin. And this was just published yesterday, Friday, June the 9th. These guys are a joke, absolute joke, but folks, it's almost coming to an end. So, Tunes takes aim at $60 trillion market. Well, if you guys didn't know, Tunes partners with, I'm going to butcher this, at Bank expands bank payout services across Morocco. Well, Tunes is connected to @Bank via Ripple, the leader in enterprise and blockchain solutions, and its global financial technology, RippleNet. And things are just making sense perfectly. If you guys remember what Brad Garlinghouse said here.
Give away everything that we're working on, but you know, like the way I think about this is that any transaction that has a middleman, any transaction that requires someone to kind of commute the trust between the transaction with security settlement, insurance settlement.
And then just days ago, how Hong Kong plans to test its digital dollar in $229 billion mortgage market. You know how big the mortgage market is in America? It's about 19 trillion, folks, 19.3 trillion. Guess what they're using in Hong Kong? Two of the pilot participants, Fubon Bank and blockchain solutions provider Ripple, will examine the EHKD used in residential mortgage loans, which accounted for a fifth of the banking sector's loan book in April. There is so much coming down the pipeline, but first, there's going to be carnage in Brad Garlinghouse words. Take a listen to what he said here.
I think that percentage, particularly in the recent ICO wave, I think that percentage is a very high percentage. I think there is going to be carnage to be had from that.
And that's exactly what we're seeing right now in the crypto market. As you could see, XRP is down 8% within the last 24 hours at 49 cents. Cardano is down 22%. They're going to drop everything. And then they're going to start buying it up. Remember, we are going to see an upside in this market because the Bitcoin halving that, the government plan is coming, and slowly trillions are going to flood into this market as soon as we see a little bit of regulatory clarity. And if you guys didn't know, it makes up perfectly with the timeline. Potential time bomb for US economy looms as 1.5 trillion in real estate mortgage will come due within the next 2 years. They're planning a new system before the old system collapses, but the old system will be collapsed. And before we get into Raoul Pal, remember, the World Economic Forum didn't label Ripple as technology pioneers back in 2015 for no reason. This is when nothing was even happening. And Ripple Labs was named a technology pioneer by the World Economic Forum. And we all know what's going on within that corporation entity, whatever you want to call that little deep state. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, take a listen to what Raoul Pal says. It makes perfect sense. And keep in mind when you're listening to him, when he brings up Europe, we already know Ripple is massive in the EU with CBDC adoption, the Bank of England, the recent publications that we all went over in my previous videos. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And we'll be back with another video.
Tell me more. I said, and I think the US government and the UK government invented it, which is the NSA and the GCHQ in the UK, who are the two world centers of cryptography. Because even how the white paper's written, it's
you think
this
there's
transatlantic. Yes. I always have. And I asked the Department of Defense, they said, yeah, we've considered that too. They seeded
it was
experiments.
Official, or it was just people from that went rogue?
I don't think it's necessarily a rogueness. I think like Google have, like Google X, where they do tons of experiments, right? They know that one of the esoteric risks for the entire Western system is the issue of money. So there's probably groups of people who are given things to try. And if you can seed a new system, maybe they tried 100 of these and just one succeeded. We don't know. But it would make sense because that's what they do, this kind of stuff. So one of these took off. And so I think it's always been. I don't think it's a coincidence it came out of the financial crisis. I don't think it's a coincidence that the halving cycle and all of this is all related. It is the solution, always has been the solution. You just can't go there tomorrow. So all you need to do is let it happen slowly and manage that transition. You'll be okay. There'll be times where it speeds up because we've got something bad going on, and there's times when it slows down. But and that's what I think the US government regulation is trying to do. They don't want to ban crypto. Just slow this down. Because if all the deposits leave the banking system, it's game over. If they don't set up a way of collecting taxes because everybody's living in crypto land and they have to ask your honesty in what trades you've done, that's not going to work for them because they can't pay the bills. So I think they're trying to catch up. I think that the UK will have a CBDC. I think the Europeans will. It's all coming relatively soon, next 5 years, 3 years, 4 years. And they'll feel more in control of the system that they've got because they need to pay the interest payments.
We started building RippleNet with the thesis that crypto liquidity would eventually be able to support robust global payments, large payments. RippleNet was designed so that customers seeing the benefits of our fiat-based network could flip the switch to ODL once the market was mature enough. And this is exactly what's happening. Flip the switch.
I think what we're building has, it's solving a real problem. And I think all of the tokens, my advice to anybody would be, understand the utility. If there's real utility and there's real value being delivered to a real customer, there will be value in the token.